force for 2 hours, or maybe 2 weeks. My dress stuck to my body, and my breath faded into gasps. The lyrics to the song disappeared from my head. I opened my mouth and something else entirely came out. The first notes, low and deep in my throat of amazing grace, rumbled from my lips. It surprised me that this is what my mind conjured. I focused on my words, the cadence of the melody, the way my body relaxed as each word dragged from me like it needed to be freed. I only ever sang it in church, and our congregation was small, private, and comforting, and so not appropriate for this situation. So I sang like my life depended on it. When the last note died on my lips, I stood waiting judgment. After a long pause, all I heard was a terse thank you. My heart fell to my knees, making me even more unsteady on my feet. I bowed slightly and turned to walk off stage. The woman ushered another girl past me. I stopped at the edge of the stage and watched. She wasn't a girl by any means, and the lights, the heavy makeup, and the wrinkles that she'd tried to cover up stood out, as did the raven dye covering the light brown hair of her roots. She wore black skin tight jeans, a black shirt shredded at the shoulders, and high heeled boots. The exact outfit Iris wanted me to wear, and this woman wore it better than I ever could. Crystal Heart, she said when prompted. A guitar riff rang in the speakers. Her voice exploded high yet husky. She sang, I hate myself for loving you by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Despite wanting to actually hate this woman, I found myself singing along, harmonizing with her. Dad told me Dad had told me when I was younger that to be a singer I needed to know all the alternative, jazz, and Broadway, anything that might give me an edge, anything that might make me stand out against the millions of wannabe singers, anything to give me a chance. The woman finished her selection with a pure rock goddess yell. I wilted and moved away from the stage toward the large dressing room in the back where the rest of the singers mistake of fantasizing which mirror would be mine. I should have known better than to hope. It was hard not to. The minute I saw the notice for the auditions, I had to try. This wasn't my dream exactly, but it was a chance to learn from one of the greatest rock legends in the world, Hank Walker. He was also my dad's idol. When Mountain View Theater announced Hank's summer appearance, my dad flipped out. Hank hadn't performed in 5 years, and here he was going to be in our backyard. Then Hank announced he'd be hiring local musicians and backup singers, and Dad picked up his guitar and tried. He tried so hard to play. The stroke that had left him partially paralyzed 2 years ago ended that dream. All he could do was strum a few chords before his hands locked up on him. It was up to me. It was up to me. Okay, ladies, the woman said from the doorway, they're ready for you. I glanced around, meeting the eyes of several other singers whose fear was as visual as mine, and avoiding the few who knew they had nailed it. My throat constricted and tears prepared themselves at the corner of my eyes just in case. Together we stood and made our way to the stage. It felt like a cattle call. We were being presented only for slaughter. I stood near the back, ready to make my escape. Ladies, thank you for coming out, a different voice said from the seats. I still couldn't see anything, but the glaring spotlight in front of me. We're thrilled with the talent Branson has to offer, but we only need 2 singers. We took in a lot of factors when finalizing our choices. All of you sang beautifully. The voice paused, and the first voice took over. Crystal Hart. Crystal stepped forward, grinning like she'd won the lottery. The last sliver of hope disappeared. And Cameron Harris, he added. And what? I said a little too loudly. Several of the girls snapped their heads my way. Sorry, I mouthed. If the voice heard my little squeak, he didn't acknowledge it. Thank you, ladies. That was it. I was in. It didn't seem real or even right. The rest of the girls filed off the stage and I stood there dumbstruck. Crystal stood at the front, but I couldn't get my feet to move. I wasn't sure if I really believed I should. The lights dimmed on the stage and the seats came into view. A tall man walked down the aisle. While I couldn't see his face past the stars dancing in my eyes, I knew it was Hank Walker by his swagger and his trademark black leather vest. His heavy boots rattled the stairs as he stomped up them and strolled over to Crystal.
Crystal looked equally awed, impressed, and professional. My stomach churned. Please don't throw up. Please don't throw up, I prayed repeatedly as Hank's gaze shifted toward me. He stalked toward me, head down, eyes lasering through me. My breath caught in my throat. I didn't pick, so don't make my son look like an asshole. I opened my mouth and nothing came out. It didn't matter anyways. He marched away, disappearing behind the stage.